great music. That is not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Greetings, citizens of Gotham, and welcome once again to Bat Minute Returns, the show that cannot be mistaken for any other, as we, in our own unique fashion, investigate Tim Burton's Batman Returns 1 minute at a time. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
And I am the other host, Niall McGowan.
And we are joined once again by our very, very special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself today, just to throw things up in the air?
Hello. I'm Alex Thompson impersonating Christopher Walken. How you doing, fellas?
Oh, I thought I was the real guy the whole time. What the hell?
I like the way you did exactly what I was trying to set up without me just discussing it with you there. Yes. Welcome, everybody, to minute 47 of Batman Returns. The minute starts with pure astonishment, and it ends with a wonderful amnesia storyline, because we all love those, right?
Oh, boy. No, don't get me started.
Days of Our Lives. I don't know what the actual jingle to that show is.
That's an excellent question.
Again, we probably should wait to get into it, but I think I might have said this on the show already, but there's nothing I hate more in a plotline than an amnesia storyline, because it's just delaying the story you want to get to. It's just a blockage in the road of
It's edging. It's delayed gratification.
Yeah, I think it's only you think. The weirdest thing is that because Twin Peaks fans will know, majority of season 3 is like an amnesia storyline for Agent Cooper.
Yep.
And weirdly enough, I didn't mind that. I was actually on board for that one because
it's perfect in Twin Peaks.
Yeah, and the thing is, because when that actually does pay off, even though I'd already been waiting like 20 years to see Agent Cooper again. But the time he actually when he does come back, he's got his memory back. I wasn't expected, but literally sitting watching the episode, I'm just so happy he's back. And it's like, I don't know if I would have had that had they not had 18 episodes to build up to it. So
one of the other podcasts I listen to, I'll give them a plug. They deserve it. The Attitude Era podcast in your neck.
Yeah, good choice.
They got a good amount of mileage out of mocking the amnesia storyline in mid-late '99. When so let's see if I remember the specifics on this. So Test and young Stephanie McMahon were dating, and then the writer changed. Vince Russo left to go to WCW, and basically to sort of go into a holding pattern until they could figure out what to do with the storyline. At the pay-per-view in the UK, I can't remember which one it was. Might have been Rebellion or Capital Carnage.
If it's Rebellion, I think I was at that one.
Ooh. British Bulldog gets cranky, throws a trash can across the room, quote-unquote, hits Stephanie, and she has amnesia. And that lasts for a couple of weeks until the writers can decide what they want to do with the storyline now.
That's always a great sign.
I think it's because Amnesia 2 is played in. There's even episodes of Batman the Animated Series where Bruce Wayne has amnesia. And I was like, what? I'm not here to see amnesiac Bruce Wayne. I'm here to see Batman. Get on with it, damn it. Although, I guess most of our listeners will be saying that right now.
Yeah, get on with it.
True. We will get to this point. Yes, we should probably start with the beginning here. We're back in Shrek's office as Selina continues her bizarre new attitude. She's spunky now, and Max can't believe what he's seeing. I mean, to be fair, that's the most sensible way to be feeling right now if you're Max, right? You just shoved her out a window.
Oh, totally. And I'll actually give it to Max Shrek, because I guess he would be a guy who's obviously dealt with offing people before and been in weird situations where he's just what?
Yeah, this is not the first person he's pushed out of a high window. No.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, no. Yeah, I think we talked about that. You really get the impression this guy, he's done some really dark things in the past.
Well, I mean, that you go 15 rounds with Muhammad Shrek. Yeah. He's going to take whatever. He's going to do whatever it takes to win. But I think I do appreciate that he actually is kind of beyond the kind of the eyes bugging out of his head, and that's just a natural state of Chris Walken, to be fair. He's actually playing it quite cool of just all right, I'm just gonna so feel the room here and see what I can do. But
also get a bit of a layer of, sort of like, wow, look at those legs. Wow.
Yeah. This is the thing, though, with, like, so I understand they're trying to go for, again, Keaton's really laying it on, and then he lays it on the next 2 minutes of how just, like, jaw-dropped he is. Like, look at this stunning woman who's walked in. But I never really I get that they're trying to be like, oh yeah, she's sexy now, she's more confident. This is the Rachel Lee Cook post taking her glasses off in She's All That kind of moment, where everyone's like, holy moly, Selina Kyle was attractive the whole time. But I think she just looks like a bit of a wreck in this scene. I think she literally looks like she's been hit by a car.
And it's just she looks drunk, as we brought up last episode.
Well, this I think kind of actually touches on notes I had for this minute. Is it weird that all three of these characters and everyone in most of the movie they're wearing the same color palette? It's black, dark gray, and that muted maroon that's on Bruce's tie and Max's bow tie. I
never actually noticed that.
It's also basically the same color palette as this room. I feel like maybe, and I know Selina's basically in her clothes from yesterday, but maybe the scene would have played better if she was in like a sort of a sexy red business suit. Like, just first off, to give it a splash of color, but like, something that like she walks in the room in a very sort of, form-fitting red kind of, like, the business suit to skirt kind of a thing.
I get that. I do like the way it's a bit more subtle, though. Like, she is wearing the same clothes, but she doesn't feel like the same character.
Yeah.
I quite enjoy that. Like, instantly just change her hair, change her demeanor a little bit, and bam, you get Max's sort of confusion and also, dare I say, arousal. He's kind of like, oh, this is interesting.
Well, the initial thing I had thought before, like, going to an entire red suit is if she just had like a splash of bright color, like if her lipstick was like a really red.
Yeah, really bright. That would
like, first off, just to kind of give us a little bit of a change to the color palette, and also then just to give her a bit more of the sexiness that has apparently caused Bruce Wayne's jaw to just completely drop. Because it's no disrespect to her, but I'm not entirely getting like why his jaw is dropping in this scene.
Well, see, my problem with this transformation is that, to me, she was stunning to begin with.
Yeah.
This is she always looks fantastic in this film.
Yeah. Again, it just looks more like she's kind of just got out of bed and wandered in.
Yeah, she looks like she picked yesterday's clothes off the floor and threw them on.
Yeah.
Well, that's a sexy look, that bed head. You get products to create that.
It actually really reminded me of a scene recently, and I guess maybe she has an excuse that she was doing the pundit rounds or something, but like, I seen a YouTube video with Greta Gerwig been interviewed about Lady Bird, because it was a big thing a couple months back, and like, I'm a big Greta Gerwig fan. I was into her way before Lady Bird and stuff, man. Like,
I can confirm you've brought her up to me before, and I was like, "What? Who are you talking about?"
But usually she just has like you get like a little short blonde haircut, or just like a long blonde hair, but usually fairly tame. And then in this one video, it looks like she has a like Tim Burton bird nest in her hair, and she's just kind of wearing like a button-down shirt. And I'm not too sure if it's just like she's in editing or something, and she's like, I have no time to do this interview. I am so stressed right now. But it's just like, her hair just looks like an absolute wreck. But at the same time, she actually looks really good with it. I was like, oh, if this is Greta Gerwig's new look, I'm into this. But then it also, with Selina Kyle, it's just kind of like, what are they going for here? It could almost be like Bruce Wayne's just like, has this woman just been in a horrific accident? Is that why his jaw's dropped so much? That he's just like stunned that she's even made it into work or something?
Yeah. And this is kind of why it doesn't make sense to me that she's not like stop the room stunning when she walks in, because Bruce Wayne is so bumbling and fumbling in this scene. So, like, in reality, that's the mind of the world's greatest detective. So he should have, you would think, he would have some composure around women. You could argue maybe the character of Bruce Wayne would be this, he's sort of pretending to be this kind of fumbling around her, but the character of Bruce Wayne is also like a ladies' man and a player. So that means, really, we're essentially saying, no, the real Bruce Wayne is this sort of taken aback by her beauty. that he is behaving in this way, but I'm not getting enough beauty out of it, I guess. And again, like, look, Michelle Pfeiffer is a beautiful woman, but it's maybe the presentation just doesn't. It's not enough for me that I'm like, wow, like this guy is just stopped completely dead in his tracks.
Well, you are about to see her in yet again in a very skimpy, sexy outfit, so you know that's coming. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But we'll add though, look, in the original script though, like the only note that like Dan Waters has made for this scene is that it just says, a dazed Max has turned to see a spunkier and slyer, more assertively dressed and coiffed Selina Kyle. So it's like he's indicating that she should be like dressed to the nines and stuff. Yeah. But again, as you're saying, it's like, no, she's just wearing yesterday's clothes. Yeah. Doesn't look like she's brushed her hair. I do wonder.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I do wonder as well, though. Like, I would look at this now and be like, again, don't watch Gotham. But like when they cast that girl as Selina Kyle, that we call her Cameron Bikondova. Like, I'm not too sure. I don't watch the shows. I'm not too sure she is. But she just looks like Selina Kyle in this scene. Like, I have a feeling like they saw her come in.
Yeah, it feels like they intentionally cast someone who looked like a young Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah, and particularly because she always has the kind of, or not to say always, I've seen her in episodes where she has the massive curls and stuff. Yeah. And it looks as if they're like, oh, that's it, she's got the part. Although, to be fair, what I've seen of her in the show, she does seem well cast. But
I think I figured out the sort of the visual I would be going for here if I was sort of director. Joan Holloway in Mad Men. Christina Hendricks' character. Like, she walks in the room, even though, all the women on the show are beautiful, like, her clothes fit a little more form-fitting than everyone else. They hug curves, and it's like the room's, like the room would stop. That sort of a, I guess is.
I can't argue with it. It does. Like, to the viewer, to the people in the show, everything. Yeah.
But anyway.
We'll note, though, in the background as she's walking in, just Chip Shrek there, just like with this real, like, I tried to stop her, but I couldn't, Dad. Like, what do you want me to do?
And this is kind of maybe more getting into next minute, but he seems to sort of be, especially in the next minute, doing the Ricky Bobby, what do I do with my hands thing.
Yeah. Although, we'll note again that the original script, Chip Shrek was supposed to be in the scene anyway. He was supposed to be in there with Max and Bruce. And it seems that there's a lot. I don't know what happened, but we're in the rewrite where they just went, you know what? No, Chip's not present for these scenes. Because he was originally supposed to have been abducted by the Penguin as well. He was there for all that. He was there. There's a scene missing where he comes in after Max has dropped something out the window. In this version, because that's not there, at this point, we don't know if Chip is aware that his dad tried to kill Selina Kyle. For all he knows, he's just like, we can kind of get, later on when it's like, you buy this amnesia? Like, Max is always like, son, let me tell you what I did in the office tonight. That kind of, whether that was the scene. But
I wonder if that rewrite was brought about once they cast Christopher Walken and they said, well, we've got an actor who's a big deal. Let's make his part a little bigger.
Yeah.
We could
see that being the case.
Chip wound up getting de-emphasized, basically written out of this scene. He's there in the background, but, so give Christopher Walken more to play here, and then instead of kidnapping Chip at the end, they essentially kidnap Max.
Yeah.
And, Max says, take me instead of him, but, just to give us more to do because we've got a bigger deal actor here than maybe we were initially thinking.
You want all the Walken for your buck.
Oh, yeah, yes. Totally. 100%. I do also wonder if there was a thing where, like, Andrew Brynjarski, when him and Walken were first working together, and Walken wasn't aware that he was just going to do an impression of Chris Walken, and he's just like, I want that guy out of my scenes. I'm not going to put all of that in my set.
He's mocking me.
So Chip's not even supposed to be there now. This is just Andrew coming. Just let me back in the scene, guys. Come on, like, get out of here. The camera's picking you up.
Well, it's funny you touch on. I think it's kind of interesting that Chip is actually doing a Christopher Walken impression, because most people don't do, I certainly don't do, like, an actual Christopher Walken impression. They do an impression of, like, Kevin Pollak and Jay Moore's Christopher Walken impression.
Yeah,
like the actual impression is usually much lower pitch. Little man, I wore this uncomfortable hunk of metal up my ass for 2 years.
Yes.
In that Hanoi pit of hell. But, you do Christopher Walken up here because it's silly and it's funny and you pause. for an inordinate amount of time. But,
oh, it is the best delivery in the history of acting, I would say.
Yeah.
They do get a couple of walk-in gems, though, just his delivery, the minor things he does say in this, but, like, even when as she comes in, it's just the Selina.
That's why I'm getting that little bit of, like, sexual attractiveness, because that kind of seems like a what are you doing here? And it also kind of seems like a wow, whoa, wowie, wow.
Wow.
We'll also note, too, that, that she comes in, she says, I'm still confused. It's one of these things with dialogue-heavy scenes. We were saying this off mic. It's like, I'm trying to place where this dialogue comes and where that dialogue comes. But I think she comes and enters by saying to Bruce Wayne, like, oh, nice suit. And he's just like, oh, thanks. But it's bizarre to me because it's like, look at Max's suit. That's the best suit I've ever seen in my life, that suit.
Yep.
And you're commenting on Bruce Wayne's. It's like, oh, it's a kind of a gray, tweedy-looking thing. No,
like, it's nice. I'm not knocking it.
That's where you'd almost need to try to place it in, like, a point in time, which I know the Batman universe is hard to do intentionally. Yeah. Because depending on the point in time that we're talking about, Max's suit is the nicer suit or Bruce's suit is the nicer suit. It depends on the particular fashions of whether we're in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. All the way
I'm a weird freak. I'm always with Max. Look at that thing.
Yeah.
Look at it. It's, oh, my God. It's stunning.
But I think, of course, then Max introduces, like, oh, so, this is... I think, does she do the bit of... I think that does come first, where he's doing Selina, and then she says, like, oh, that's my name, Maximilians, don't wear it out or I'll make you buy me a new one, which is, I think, is one of the best lines of dialogue in the movie, frankly.
Well, actually, let me ask this question, right? Maximilians. That's not a name.
Well, Maximilian is a name, and then she's... and she's just making the play on words of he's got money.
Yeah.
Is that that was my question, is that what she's doing? Is that the joke?
Well, that's my thought.
Well, I don't know. In the strict revised script, she also says Maximilians. So this has been there since day one. So I was like, is it a joke, or is that supposed to be his name?
I tied it into, like, that's why I was so sort of surprised you're saying last minute, John, that you consider, like, oh, Selina's just acting like Selina. Because the fact she's come in and she is making the play on his name, like, oh, this is Max Shrek, he's got millions of dollars. Maxi Millions is kind of like she's playing around with him. Original OG Selina never would have done that. She would never.
Oh, no.
So that's...
I think that's the thing, though. Like, it's slipping into, like, this weird, like, he doesn't know what's going on. He's like, it's Selina, but she's not Selina. Like, what's happening?
But there's a fantastic response, though. Just like, that's my name. Don't wear it out or I'll make you buy me a new one. It's like, oh, it's fantastic dialogue. If they give it to, whether it would be Waters or Schrick who wrote that one, good job. That's
I like the way as well Max introduces the two of them, and Bruce says that they've already met. Which is completely him slipping up because he met her as Batman, obviously. Yeah. Which I hesitate to say they met. Because would he really remember her? Or is he just,
Did he meet her as Selina Kyle when he was Batman? Or I know he met her as Catwoman, but...
Oh, no, he hasn't met her as Catwoman just yet, though. He's...
Oh, wait, he hadn't...
Yeah, there was just the bit where...
chronology.
Yeah, it's just he's met her with that one bit of... she saved him, or he saved her from the clown guy. And
would he remember that random woman that he saved from a clown? That's a normal day for him, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I guess, and that's where you get, the world's greatest detective. He's theoretically capable of, going into a room and noticing every single detail and remembering every single detail with perfect, picture perfect clarity. So I guess, he would probably remember every person he's ever met. In case he needs to know it again for some reason.
Yeah.
Plus, he's a dirty, dirty man.
There's also the chance, too, that, like, when he was Batman, he just had a good game face, and he was already kind of like, oh, she's kind of hot.
Yeah, exactly.
Then like, now he's just like, oh, that's that woman I met that other night. But
yeah, he saw her, and he said, I've got an idea for a screenplay. She's all that.
Yes.
And that is the origin of that film.
Yes. Totally not Pygmalion.
But yeah, so they're introduced. And actually, again, I really love that dialogue of the, like, oh, we've met. And she's like, "Oh, have we?" And he's like, "You know what? Sorry, I was mistaking me for somebody else." And then she's like, "Oh, you mean mistaking me from someone?" And then he's like, "What? Well, what did I say?" And it's
yeah.
And dude, like the fact that apparently this is a comics trope. That Bruce Wayne, around women he finds attractive, turns into a bit of a fumbling idiot. Like, apparently it's been peppered throughout, like, at least in the old days, anyway. You think nowadays Batman have control of every situation, but apparently
I prefer him to be a bit, he needs a weakness.
Oh, no, like, there's always good to have weaknesses in your Batman, because you can't be... I enjoy the kind of cool, he had everything planned out well in advance trick when it's played well, as much as anybody. But you still want him to feel like the guy has flaws and that he can't be inherently taken down. Because otherwise, what's the tension? Like if he's...
Yeah, let's be honest, right? He's a man. He's not a superhero, despite what people think.
Yeah,
he's a man.
Most continuities, his flaw is either, he's human, and that's usually like in a Justice League story where he's interacting with demigods, or his flaw is his sidekicks, Robin, Nightwing, Girl, so on and so forth. But in this case, he doesn't really have any of those yet, at least, other than Alfred. So essentially, you have to put a flaw between the ears because you don't have any of those external ones yet.
Yeah, exactly. And he's already kind of got a flaw in his. Well, let's use this line. In fact, I mistook me for somebody else. I love it because it shows Bruce can't keep his two personalities in check anymore. Like maybe the woman he's besotted with here has like really confused him, almost given him like a shock to the system. Burton's really running with that duality, almost schizophrenic vibe to this character, and it's come out here. He can't stop it anymore. It's yet again a case of him being a terrible, terrible person for hiding it.
But yeah, this whereabouts are we in the middle? Again, dialogue-heavy scenes. Like, where is everything now?
Well, he says, I mistook me for somebody else. Selina corrects him. He turns into a mumbling mess. I'm sure we've all been like this around women or men. And we've all done this.
This is my default state around.
Yeah, it's my default state.
We've all crumbled.
Just people in general.
Well, it's either crumbling or it's. I'm gonna sit here with my mouth shut, and you're just please, like maybe you can say the first thing to me, and then I don't have to. I don't have to go out there on that ledge and say hi.
Especially as men who aren't. I don't want to use that word. I don't want to use. Yeah, you've said it. Yeah. As men who aren't like that, let's just say jerk, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to come across as too forward. So you're always like weighing it up. Like, should I say something? Should I speak to this person? Oh no, I'll wait for them.
Are you admitting to being a beta cuck, John? Is that what you're telling me?
I'm a beta cuck.
Oh boy.
On that note,
but I do like this actually as establishing actually the relationship between Bruce Wayne and Catwoman, or Batman and Catwoman, throughout comics history as well, because you always get the idea she always is instilled with more confidence, and Batman's always a little bit not flustered around her, but he's always kind of unsure because Selina's got that one foot in the good and one foot in the bad. And even here within their technically second interaction, we're already getting that he just doesn't quite know what to do or say, or he's very mystified by her. He's already entranced by Selina Kyle, and she's just swaggering about, as confident as anything. And it's done with very nice dialogue, unlike in, say, The Dark Knight Rises, where you have silly scenes that establish it, like where Batman turns around and Catwoman's not there, and he's just sort of like goofy, like, so that's what that feels like. And it's just like, oh
yeah.
And you like that film, unlike me.
But that was a scene in the cinema. I was like, nah, that ain't working for me, man. Whereas this, great. I'm all on board for this. And of course, then we get Bruce and asked, like, oh, what happened? A bit weird though. He just walks towards her and is like, what happened? Like demanding to know why she's got a bandage on her hand and a plaster on her head.
Well, it is a talking point. She looks really messed up. It's not like a slight cut or anything. She looks like she's been through hell.
It's a sizable bandage in at least two places. So
yeah.
But
you'd feel rude not asking, I think.
But again, as we were saying though in the previous minute, this is actually the moment now where we realize that Chris Walken or Max Schreck, the character, who can never have enough power. Always wants to be the guy on top, and now he is literally down at the bottom, completely powerless because she's shown up. He doesn't know why she's here, whether she's just going to rat him out. This is the end of Max Shrek, essentially, because she holds all the cards now, and she knows she holds all the cards. And he has this one little attempt to kind of be like, maybe I can get a little bit of power back by doing this, like, did you injure yourself on that ski slope? Like, glaring at her with the eyes just piercing out of his skull. It's like, this is the story, right?
Well, that's the thing. Do you think that's him kind of saying, play along with me here and I'll sort something out? Like, I'll look after you. Or is it him testing her?
I think it's more like he's hoping that his threat level still is prominent enough that, like, he can look at her and be like, this is what happened, isn't it? Because he's hoping that she'll instinctively be like, yes, whatever you say, Max. But, of course, that's not what's... well, I guess she plays along, kinda. But
for now.
Yeah, but for her own purposes, basically.
Well, that's the thing. I did think... I thought that, but then it also dawned on me, maybe it's like a test. Like, I'll say this and see what her response is. Is she going to remember? Because... for all he knows, she genuinely can't remember.
Oh, that was true. That was also true, yeah. Also, they don't make much of a reaction point of it, but this should be more of an indication to Bruce Wayne that Max Shrek is a dodgy person as well, because he saw Selina Kyle. Like, Bruce Wayne saw Selina Kyle, like, last night, I guess, during the whole... or maybe 2 days ago, maybe at the most. Mm-hmm. And so then... Walken saying like, oh, she's on vacation, and she's on a ski slope. And it's like, Bruce Wayne might be in his head going, well, how did she go on vacation and have to come back in the space of time since I last saw her? Something is clearly amiss here.
Well, also Walken's line delivery should tip him off that something is amiss. I mean, that's not how... Obviously, I know Christopher Walken speaks how Christopher Walken speaks, but that's not how a person talks, even if they're Christopher Walken.
True, yes. And the Daniel Waters draft, though, has far too much dialogue in this scene.
Oh, like, never, John.
Never. Like, Selina obviously here says it's all a blur. She can't really remember. Which I'm assuming is her just basically, let's make Max feel safe and secure. It's all lies, but let's play him a little bit. Let's make him feel safe, but also in the back of his mind worry.
I had a completely different take on this. If we're
you go ahead first.
If we're going with the idea that she is cat-like now, Max is the mouse. She has him She has him under her paw. Now she's playing with the mouse.
Oh, it is. It's fully playing with him.
I just want to watch him squirm. I'm gonna sit here and I don't know. I can't remember, but then I remember that thing. And
well, that's the thing. He's on edge. It's like he's there thinking she's saying she doesn't remember, but that seems unlikely. Like, he's kind of, that keeps him worried. That'll keep him up at night.
Yeah.
Like, what's happening with this woman? What do I do? But then the Daniel Waters draft goes overboard because her and Bruce have a whole dialogue where she tries to explain what's happened to it. Because he asks what happened, and she goes, "Let's just say the broken window out there didn't come from Little League practice, Mr. Wayne. I came here to get a file, then bam! Next thing I know, I'm making angels in the snow in the alley below. Wow, rhymes." And it goes on, there's more. Thing is, I have no memory of who or what pushed me through that window. I mean, it's not complete amnesia. I still remember Dan Schwartz putting 28 cockroaches in my thermos, blah, blah, blah. This comes up in the next minutes. But the whole explanation there, like, wink, wink, I don't remember what happened.
Yeah.
It's a bit too much.
That dialogue feels like it could work in a comic book.
Yes, only in a comic book.
Yes. It's like a lot of the dialogue in, like, Watchmen, for example, where it feels like, that could work in a comic book, but when you actually put it in the mouths of a human being,
Yeah, it's a bit like the dialogue you'd get from like a George Lucas. It does not sound right, does it?
What was Harrison Ford's line? All right, George, you can write this crap, but you can't speak.
It's actually a very good distinction, though. Like, the written word, you can get away with very different things, I think, to the spoken word. It's so much. It's too much. That draft is just... It's wall-to-wall dialogue where you don't need it.
Well, that's the thing, though, of like, because that dialogue also would give Bruce Wayne major cause to be like, what? Like, you were in here and someone pushed you out a window. I already suspect this guy had been up to stuff. Whereas
this creepy guy I'm talking to right now.
So he'd be more like, oh, I'm definitely looking into this incident. Whereas now it's left as this, maybe she was on vacation to something about a ski slope and she doesn't remember what this is. I guess Bruce Wayne would be a bit more like, okay, that's weird, but it's going to be as urgent as clearly Max Schreck pushed her out this window. Like,
yeah, because in the finished product, you're like Bruce and Max and the viewer are left kind of like, ooh, this is intriguing. Like, I know we know what happened, but it still like piques your interest. Like, oh, where's she going with this? Is it a character? Like, you don't know what's happening. In that draft, you're just like, oh, yeah. Bruce will know who it is. Max will know exactly what the hell she's talking about. We know what the situation is. Oh, she remembers.
Yeah. But it should actually, now might be the time to bring up, I've been holding on to this for a while because I thought it'll be relevant to mention in these minutes. But as you were...
Let it go.
You were talking about last minutes, Alex, that, it's weird that they didn't utilize a comic book character for Max Schreck. Why create a new guy when there must be millions of nefarious businessmen in Gotham in the comics that you could totally use? And there is a character who would seem that Max Schreck is actually quite very heavily based on, actually, and we'll cover more about like how many comparisons in later minutes when they become relevant as well. But for the time being, John, you might recall the name of a comic book character, Rupert Thorne, who was the guy they based Carl Grissom off on in the last movie. But Rupert Thorne, of course, if you look at him, is a guy who got swept back white hair, looks very Max Schreck alike as well. So it's a bit of a mix, maybe like, oh, maybe that's what they're going for, or maybe they're going for the guy from Metropolis, which we also theorized earlier in the run. But Rupert Thorne was introduced in Detective Comics 469 in May 1977 in the storyline By Death's Eerie Light, and in this first scene, he is seen talking to city councilmen, talking about building a power plant that he wants, that no one else wants because they don't need a power plant. And he's going to start, and throughout that storyline, he does nefarious things, trying to get around the tax incentives and whatnot. Variances, all that pesky nonsense. But then, after he meets opposition, he, does some illegal doings, and he's eventually forced to build the power plant 3 miles out into the ocean. So it's like, oh, there's a little bit of that right there. But even more so, in the follow-up storyline that featured Rupert Thorne, which you might also recall, John, Strange Apparitions, which was mentioned frequently last season. As a lot of the Vicky Vale stuff came from that storyline. Rupert Thorne has Hugo Strange killed, and then eventually Hugo Strange seems to have come back from the grave and starts making havoc for Rupert Thorne and as a mode of revenge, and seems a bit similar to what Selina Kyle is doing right now in this very scene. So I think
you're onto
it.
I
think if that wasn't like, you might be like, oh, that's a little coincidental. There's a lot more Rupert Thorne connections in a big bad way that you can't deny that's who they definitely based Max Schreck off in terms of story.
100%.
They'll be getting to those in later minutes because it becomes a more prominent plot point later on. But yeah, so in case anyone out there who knew this already was just like, well, they're not bringing up Rupert Thorne, why not? Yeah. There we go, it's out there now.
And it's interesting also because if your entryway into the Batman canon was the animated series, Rupert Thorne is more of a crime boss in that than he is a public figure. He's more like a Carmine Falcone or a Sal Maroni than he is a politician or a businessman.
Well, I kind of feel a bit bad for the fictional character of Rupert Thorne now, because I think the animated series seems to kind of have been his last hurrah, really, because nowadays, maybe with the popularity of Year One and The Long Halloween and stuff, when filmmakers think about, we need to bring in a gangster, they'll go for Falcone, or they'll go for Maroni or someone along those lines. And or nowadays mostly Roman Sionis, the Black Mask. He's a gangster, but he's also got a crazy gimmick and stuff. And it's just a bit unfortunate for Rupert Thorne, a character who is strong enough to. They based 2 characters off him in both the first 2 Batman movies that came out. But nowadays, I think he might just be lost to the ether. You're never going to be we're announcing Al Pacino is playing Rupert Thorne.
I'd watch that.
Yeah, but I think nowadays it would be more likely that Al Pacino is playing Maroni or someone along those lines. So, but we got respect for you, Thorne.
It looks like most of the... He's appeared a few times in some of the other animated adaptations in the video games, but again, he's kind of... He's sort of morphed, and I think it's the original animated series' fault, I guess, that he's sort of morphed from being a corrupt politician to being an actual... gangster mob boss.
Yeah.
So then in that case, you're more likely to go with a more interesting mob boss than Rupert Thorne. I feel like if you really wanted to bring him back, you'd almost have to bring him back as a corrupt politician type.
Yeah. I would have thought though that would be the more in terms of a long-term antagonist, and I guess that is what they did in the animated series. It is more interesting to have a guy who appears legitimate. But of course, Batman knows that he's not. And I guess that's exactly what they did with Lex Luthor as well, but for so many iterations.
That's Lex.
Yeah, totally. But so maybe if we do get another cartoon, or maybe I don't know, maybe in later episodes of Titans or something, they might introduce a Rupert Thorne. But
well, he could always wind up being a name drop in some future Batman movie,
Oh, totally.
You could have some Thorne for City Council poster in the background or something, and people and the fans who know better will just go, "Oh, look,
yeah,
that's a thing."
But anywho, what else happens in this minute now? We got
that's about it, basically.
Michelle Pfeiffer does her best impression of Uma Thurman in Batman and Robin.
She was predicting the future right there. I love the way we're going to get to this eventually. The way Uma plays that. Can I just say, it would not fit a Tim Burton movie, but it fits perfectly the film she's in.
Yeah, not to I guess spoil my thoughts too much for that movie, but I love when actors chew the crap out of the scenery in a movie that they're too good to be in.
Oh yeah. Well, Niall is a huge fan of Masters of the Universe, so
that's Frank Langella is absolutely just I'm here, I'm doing it. I'm going to literally shake the back seats of every cinema that plays this movie.
Yeah. My favorite performance that I can think of like that. And I know a lot of people actually hate it. I love Tommy Lee Jones in Batman Forever.
Oh no, I think he's great. He's fantastic. Again, if it was Tim Burton's vision of that film, it would not work. But the way he's doing it in that, love it.
Yeah.
I'll say I do love Tommy Lee Jones' performance. It is just that this ain't Two-Face though. This is if he were playing the Joker or something.
He's kind of playing the Joker, but.
That's a problem we're going to get to with quite a few of the upcoming villains. The Riddler.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, though, to Jim Carrey, I think he is very much going for the Frank Gorshin Riddler.
He is. Yeah. He's channeling it.
He's going for the Frank Gorshin. He's also going very much for the Jim Carrey, which is a little Joker.
Again, we'll get to it, but... it's a Jim Carrey masterclass, whether you like it or not.
That's the thing. The thing they announced... I think one of the people in the Minute Maker group is talking about doing... a Truman Show minute. And I was if that comes out next year and we're doing Batman Forever, and then if I get myself in for a guest spot in that, it's I have so much fucking Jim Carrey to talk about this year. I was next year is just going to be the year of Jim Carrey for me.
Not to anyone else in the world, just to you.
Yeah, but it will just be oh my god, can't get away from this guy. He's everywhere.
But now we've advanced on to another film. We should probably advance on from this minute.
Yeah. I think we end on the note of Selina saying she does remember certain aspects, and she talks about Sister Mary Marguerite puking, and then so they will find out what the rest of that that's going to be. I imagine it's the guy in The Simpsons wait, I need closure on that anecdote. What happened with Sister Mary Marguerite puking?
But yes, one more time. Would you like to tell our good listeners, Alex, where they can find your wonderful shows all over the interwebs?
Yes, you can check me out on Galaxy Quest Minute which just wrapped up its main timeline not too long ago. You can check me out on Cleveland in 6, going deep into Major League. That is with Doug Greenberg, co-host of Rocky Minute. And you can also check me out on, depending on when exactly you're listening to this, we should at least have the feed up around the time this is coming out, Independence Day Minute. It's me along with the guys from Roughneck Minute, covering the 97 action, comedy, sci-fi, Will Smith vehicle, Independence Day.
Love it, love it, love it.
All three of those.
Can I shock you? It won't shock the listeners. Well, actually, no, it will. Most of our listeners seem to be American. It won't shock the English listeners. I've never seen Major League.
You know, I believe it. I feel like it's a movie that you've either seen a lot or you've never seen. I've heard a lot of people say I've never seen it, and I've heard a lot of people say I absolutely love that movie.
Well, I think
up and down,
I'm going to end up listening to your show before I see it, which is going to be an interesting thing. I'm going to listen to the show and then watch the film. I think that's the way around I'm going to do it.
I'd also be curious to have you guys on, just because how do you guys, either of you guys, know much about baseball? I'd be curious to see
Nothing.
how a baseball movie plays to people who don't know baseball.
I don't know the rule. I know someone throws the ball, you hit the ball, you run round.
I know it's essentially, it's over here it's referred to as rounders. Rounders essentially is baseball, but I hated PE in school, so when we were taught rounders, I was only half paying attention. So I basically don't know any of the rules to that either.
Plus, rounders tends to be, as you get older, that becomes like a women's sport, weirdly, and then men do cricket. Which is kind of the same again, but like I don't really know sport. I don't really know how you play cricket. So
cricket is similar. I work with I'm in IT, so I work with a lot of Indian guys. So occasionally there's a company outing that we'll go play cricket, and like they've tried a couple times to like explain the rules, and it's like I got the basic gist of it. So basically I'll stand here and I'll try to catch the ball when it's hit to me. And then
that's about all you need to know.
I have like traumatic memories though, because I had a girlfriend who was obsessed with cricket.
What?
And it was like, she used to get up at 3 a.m. to listen to the cricket scores on the radio. Because it's back in like 2005 or so.
Oh my God.
And I remember, it was like around that time too, that was when England had finally won the Ashes for like the first time in 20 years. Even though I think it's England and Australia always playing in the Ashes, and England always loses.
England's
and they won.
crap at everything.
Yeah, but they won this one time, and you won. They would not shut the up about it. Every piece of media on TV that year was just like, "Hey, we won the cricket." It's like we had one time, and then of course 2006 they got beat again, and they never mentioned the Ashes after that. But yeah, so
England's crap at everything. I could have swore football was coming home.
They've been saying that since 1996.
That was the best thing to come out of the World Cup was just all the memes taking the piss out of it's coming home.
Oh my God!
The one thing I did like about that, I went down this rabbit hole recently of just watching, like, because people post reaction videos to like just them watching sporting events, and just kind of, and then there's this channel, and I can't remember the name of it, on YouTube that'll like take a lot of these reaction videos, kind of set them together, and you just watch like 5 minutes of people reacting to, the second goal in the semifinal game or something like that. And I just went down that rabbit hole for a while, and it was nice to watch. It's when you're watching like so baseball. The one I watched recently was the Cubs won a World Series in 2016, which they hadn't done for I want to say like 110 years.
Oh my God!
So
seriously, that's one of the only teams I've heard of as well.
entire generations of people came and went. So without seeing their beloved Cubs win the World Series, so you got to see people break down and cry tears of joy, and you see the next day people make a trip out to the cemetery, to go visit their. I'm getting misty now talking about it. To go visit, their father or their grandfather or their grandmother, and say like, "Did you hear the good news?" So like that. That's sort of what I enjoy about like sports in general. And then I would think like England, they're long suffering. They care about their sport so much, and they aren't always so successful. So getting to watch them react to their success was pretty cool in that same sort of way.
Plus, we do get to experience it, even not being huge fans. We get to experience it just living in Liverpool, because it's a huge sports city. And both Liverpool and Everton, who play, they're both they're good, but they never win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're never the champions. So we get to experience those emotions when they finally, one of them wins a trophy. Yeah. Everyone around us just losing their minds.
I just always get scared because I have a friend, and she's like very weird kind of bi personality, where like she's very, very quiet and polite, and she just seems like the nicest person in the world. But like when she gets competitive, it is terrifying.
Is this Marion?
Yeah, it is Marion, yeah. But when she's hardcore into Southampton, and Southampton never win. So it just means every time there's a Southampton game, just avoid her the rest of the day, because you can't even joke about it. I've tried to throw in little Southampton been rubbish jokes, and she will give you a stare that will turn your blood to ice. Like she does not mess around with it. It is terrifying.
Oh, I knew you were going to say her. But on that lovely note, we should probably head off and let everyone enjoy their Wednesday.
Yeah, we were working. We had already done our plug.
We had.
The second time, the last minute was just like, oh, we wrap this minute up, and then it was like an extra 20 minutes of conversation.
Yeah, we won't even mention our own plugs. You know where we are by now. It's a Wednesday episode. Just look us up. Whatever. Go watch some sports. Go watch your team, whoever they are. Be it the Cubs, be it Liverpool, whoever, whatever. And we will see you again on Friday for more Bat Minute Returns. Next time, Dame in a Daze. A surprisingly spectacleless spectre gets retrospective before a stupefied detective. But will this Dark Knight divvy be put in more of a tizzy by being privy to a story about skivvies from an amnesiac civvy? Find out Friday. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minutes.